analysis and, of course, your reactions to the stories. My name is Kenny Durotilu.
Good morning to you. Thank you for joining us. I am OLUTAYO Ogunade.
All right, let's delve straight into the pages of the papers. I start off with the Punch newspaper. A major story this morning is education-related. 578-day strike. Angry lecturers dumping varsities. ASU laments. Another story, how Adeboye's wife surprised me with call. That's according to Bakari. Politics, many CSOs are PDP members in disguise. That's according to Kiyamo. 2 children die in Lagos. Building collapse. That's in the Metro Plus pages of the Punch newspaper. Mixed fortunes for Eagle Stars in Europe. That's another one. Federal government concludes takeover of 4 discos. Oshola, DJ Copy, others back Joshua after defeat. Elsewhere in the pages of the Punch, 5 men defile Ogun minor. Father receives payment. NDLEA arrests grandpa, intercepts 2.3 million drugs shipment. Black marketer's wife. Children die in Lagos explosion. Lagos council boss aide killed. Police begin probe. Court remands Kwara pastor for raping 3 sisters. Also, federal government concludes takeover of 4 discos. And lastly, from the Punch newspaper, striking workers crashed power generation to 433 megawatts, according to the federal government. Other stories from the Punch: undisbursed loans raise Nigeria's World Bank debt to $21.15 billion. Politics, already brought you that one, talking about the CSOs and the PDP. There, no serious party can reject Tinubu, SDP spokesman says. What's that one about? You might have to grab a copy of the Punch newspaper to get the details. $418 million. Malami has abandoned AGF role, says NGF. And also this one, mixed fortunes for Eagle Stars in Europe. I believe it's a sports piece out of the Punch newspaper.
Well, let's see some more from Premium Times. In my first headline here, a pretty state of the race. Obasanjo teases Tinubu as Wiki tries Atiku's patience. Tinubu visits old foe. FFK reverses self on same faith ticket. Kamaru Usman suffers knockout defeat against Leon Edwards. Police arrest 2 soldiers over murder of Islamic cleric. Ibobiago raids venue of women's meeting in Ebonyi, fires gunshots. Nigeria's Anthony Joshua loses to Ukrainian Yosik again. Okay, still from Premium Times, FGM Kwara Ekiti record highest number of cases in 5 years. That was female genital mutilation. Gunmen abduct 4 Catholic Reverend Sisters. 2023, INEC clears air on mode of transmitting election results. Still from there, banditry campaign in Zamfara, Bello Turji embraces peace. That's according to the deputy governor. Soldier who killed Yobe cleric was redeployed to checkpoint after stealing from commanding officer. And gunmen kill NURTW chairperson in Osun State.
From the Daily Post, 2023, rights group warns Wike over crackdown on Atiku loyalists. Others alert police, DSS, fought in Imo. That's the story that's coming to most of the papers we have with us this morning. Politics, alleged corruption, no plan to impeach Governor El Rufai. Kaduna Speaker saying there, 2023, INEC clears air on abandoning electronic transmission of results for manual process. You're linking us to Peter Obi due to your hatred for Indigo. Fail Biafra. IPOB slams Mietiala. Dambata addresses 9th LAPRSC, says Nigeria must explore opportunities in digital economy. Also, this one, your order on market, shop closure, not binding on us. Monarch tells Deji of Akure. Army breaks silence as police nabbed 2 soldiers for allegedly killing Islamic cleric. Also this one, NSA to reveal identities of big men behind all theft in Nigeria. That's coming from the presidency. Monarch orders closure of Akure markets, shops for a traditional festival. Benedict Azza, Governor Autumn, condemns murder of Benue-born legal practitioner in Zamfara. Politics 2023 election is revolt against APC misrule. Former PDP chairman Baraje.
And from Daily Trust newspaper, why I'm after Dogara's life, suspect confesses. Terrorists slam multi-millionaire levy on Kaduna farmers. Resident doctors extend strike notice by 2 weeks. 6 wedding guests, 4 Reverend sisters kidnapped in Katsina, Imo. No going back on arms bearing by aviation security personnel. FAN. Flood kills 10, displaces 2,538 in Adamawa. Terrorists set aside peace deal as farmers begin harvest. In Niger, another one here, why Nigerian government need to support Niger Republic to tackle insecurity. PDP crisis despite peace move. Hotels, filling stations of Atiku's men still under lock in Rivers. How Yobe cleric was killed by a stranger he assisted. Dilemma as agencies take over sale of federal government's recovered assets. From the business side, despite CBN warning banks rejecting lower dollar bills, terrorists set aside peace deal. I took that. 2023, INEC insists on e-transmission of results. Flood kills 10, displaces 2,538 in Adamawa.
From the Nation newspaper, we'll take a couple of stories. Federal government insists on no work, no payroll for varsity workers. Tinubu Shetima ticket, best for Nigeria now, says APC chair. $418 million. Paris Club refund. Case against Malami by governors. Also in the pages of the Nation, you find this one. Okay, it has to do with environmental workers threatening to shut down Abuja graveyards. Also, Enugu. I'll take that again. Enugu man seeks 2 billion naira council's apology over son's killing. Police rescue 4 boat passengers in pirates attack. We'll take a short break right now, and when we come back, we'll be taking a delve into the stories and bringing you analysis of those right here on the show. Good morning.
Stay tuned to 32 FM 94.9.
Feel better about your life.
32 FM 94.9, the antidote to depression.
Okay, 32 FM 94.9 Breakdown Newspaper Review. Professor Lou Ojedoko joins us on the program for some analysis. If you just join us, I'm OLUTAYO Gade.
I'm Kenny Durutilu. Good morning, Prof.
Top of the day to you.
Okay, again, Prof, good morning once again.
Yeah, top of the day to you.
Okay, I see. Let's start off with the story out of the Nation newspaper. Gunmen, we understand, yesterday kidnapped 4 Reverend sisters of a Catholic church. Once again, another kidnapping. They were on the way to the morning mass, as it were, and they were kidnapped. We've not heard anything talking about ransoms or what have you. What do you make of that particular one?
Well, it's clear that they were targeted, but again, it continues the insecurity, the kidnapping, which has become the hobby or the occupation of many of the so-called, whatever you call them, bandits, terrorists, or whatever they are. It's quite clear that the audaciousness in going after Reverend sisters is quite alarming. This is not the first time that the people of the church have been kidnapped. When I mean the Catholic Church, particularly Reverend Fathers. And this seems to be an ongoing thing that is going on. Let's hope that the federal government or the state government or whatever the security forces are able to track them down. It's worrying, it's disturbing that nothing has come forth in terms of demands. So it's very difficult to be able to establish what is wanted. But what is clear is that the insecurity still continues, and the government needs to find an answer to it. We need to restore confidence in our security forces. But people have said it again, if we don't unravel the old security architecture, if we don't unravel it, we'll continue to get this kind of symptoms, symptomatic of the fact that our security architecture is simply not working for most part of the country.
All right, banditry campaign in Zamfara. OLUTAYO has repented and embraced peace overtures by the state government. Zamfara's Deputy Governor Hassan Siha made the declaration in Guzo on Sunday, and the question on the Labour people is, would that be all?
Well, it can't be all. You know, the whole issue of amnesty is usually within a wider context of a peace settlement. You don't just take amnesty out and ask people to repent. If you look at the South African situation, there was a process that was put in place. In Northern Ireland, there was a process put in place. And those processes mean that not only do you admit to your crime, you point to your crimes, that you point to your collaborators, and you cooperate with the government to ensure that people are still engaged, you understand, are still involved. In fact, in Northern Ireland, what happened was that the weaponry that was used by the terrorists were all decommissioned, were all buried. That's the sort of thing that needs to happen. The weaponry, the contacts, the finances, the money that have been used, a substantial amount of it needs to be given to the state government. Their weapons need to be decommissioned. So you don't just come out and say repentance, because he can change his mind anytime. So anything of the mind can be changed at any point in time. So we welcome, of course, his renunciation of terrorism, but I think it should go further before the government accepts it as a reality.
How do you mean go further now?
Go further. Well, the weaponry that has been used before should be decommissioned. The money that has been collected through ransom and kidnapping, at least a substantial amount of it, you're never going to be able to get everything. A substantial amount of it needs to be refunded, returned to the government. Intelligence needs to be provided to the government, and they need to begin to cooperate with the government to deal with the whole issue of terrorism in that area.
Bless you.
All right, Prof.
Yeah, thank you.
Let's delve into the politics now. Over the weekend, the INEC National Commissioner, in an interview, said that collation of results will be done manually, despite the adoption of electronic transmission. This is something that got Atiku reacting to that one. He said the commission was laying the foundation for rigging in the 2023 election. Now, there seems to be some misunderstanding, because Section 60, subsection 5 of the Electoral Act, I believe, sort of specifies that the commissioner has to verify the votes manually before he can actually come out and announce the results. So there's some misunderstanding there. What do you make of this particular one?
First, just to say that the INEC has come up with a press release to say that the same process that were used in Ekiti and indeed Osun State will be used during the general elections. In other words, it's going to be electronic transmission. I think if you look at the initial statement or interview by the National Commissioner, it was garbled. He just tied itself up in strings. I think, of course, there's a manual element to it, but that manual element has to be verified and has to be confirmed by the figures coming from the electronic transmission. Somebody has to, extract that information whilst the agents of the political parties are present and they confirm it. So it is going to be electronic transmission. Any attempt to do anything other than that, is going to sow some seeds of discord. So I don't think there's necessarily any contradiction between the Section 60 that you referred to and the overall intention that this election or future elections be through electronic transmission of results. Even when you are doing electronic transmission of results, there's a manual element involved. And I think that's what he was trying to underscore. But he didn't do a very good job in doing that. But thank God that as I said, the press release from the Electoral Commission has clarified it to say it will be electronic transmission of results.
We'll go on a commercial break now. We'll be back.
Oníbàárà mi, ẹ jẹ́ fún mi ní golden penny 400 gram midi pack spaghetti ni àwọn ọmọ mi fẹ́ jẹ ní alẹ́ yìí.
Mama Bisi, èwo tún ni 400-gram midi pack.
Èyí ni tuntun tí a gbé dé Golden Penny Pasta 400-gram midi pack pẹ̀lú àmì ìdáyàtọ̀ kan náà Golden Penny Pasta jẹ gbádùn rẹ̀ lọ́nà tó ń wọ̀.
Ẹ̀kọ́ tó yè koro ní ìpínlẹ̀ ọjọ́ ọ̀la rere Dominion Aviation College. Àǹfààní aláìlẹ́gbẹ̀rẹ̀ fún gbogbo ènìyàn tó fẹ́ nímọ̀ kíkún lórí àwọn ètò ẹ̀kọ́ bíi air ticketing and reservation/GDS training, tourism, transport and travel management, software development and application development courses. Dominion Aviation College is the place to be. Láàrin oṣù mẹ́fà péré ní àwọn ètò ẹ̀kọ́ wọ̀nyí. Admission requirements are awaiting results WAEC, GCE, NECO, ND, NCE, HND or BSc. Láti fi orúkọ sílẹ̀ fún àwọn ètò ẹ̀kọ́ bíi air ticketing and reservation/GDS training, tourism, transport and travel management. Ẹ kàn sí ilé-ìwé Dominion Aviation College tó wà ní number 37 Oyinlola Street off Bolumole Ring Road, Challenge, Ìbàdàn. Ẹ̀rọ ìbánisọ̀rọ̀ wọn 0814-730-6896 or WhatsApp 0813-148-2943. Visit www.dominionaviationcollege.com. Email dominionaviationcollege22@gmail.com.
Get up and go, 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 go. With Countdown Choco, go, go, go. Get up and, get up and, get up and, get up and go. No matter what you gotta do, do it. Countdown Choco, by the rich man's art for vitality. Get up and go. Stay strong, save the world, take action. Get up and go.
Cowbell chocolate with Vitarich plus iron.
Here is the list of excuses that will no longer be accepted.
Otajigbe, I beg, give me your hotspot. I want my data, but this one too much.
Please, could you put your Wi-Fi on? I'm out of data and the recharge card seller has closed.
Oh, I would have recharged though, but I can't find my wallet.
Please, I've got cramps and I can't get up. Can you share your hotspots?
Oh no!
Don't know where my internet token is and I need to quickly buy data. Please, could you share your hotspot till I find it?
Hey, Jumbo, I for buy data, but that recharge card seller no dey ever get change. How good one?
Now there's really no excuse to ever be out of data with Glow Borrow Me Data. Dial *321# to borrow data now and pay later.
I beg, I fit share your hotspot. This rain bahad. Make thunder no go fireman.
The largest data network, Glow, grandmasters of data.
Power oil, power oil. Bonga cooking oil, we get different sizes and different packs. Oh, power oil, power oil. The one way they sweet me na mini pack 400 naira. Yeah. Power oil, power oil. They everywhere. Power oil, good for your heart. Power oil, no cholesterol. Power oil, no trans fat. Power oil. And people who listen to your heart use power oil. Power oil, power oil. Power oil.
32 FM, 94.9.
Welcome back from the commercial break. 32 FM 94.9. Shinyabala Lukman on Facebook wrote, "Good morning, Nigerians. I see a new Nigeria. Vote wisely, please." Okay, we'll come back to the comments.
Okay, we still have Prof with us. There's a major story out of the pages of the papers this morning. It has to do with ASU. Now, they have raised an alarm over the exodus of lecturers for greener pastures abroad. According to ASU, they say poor treatment of its members, has basically forced a lot of lecturers to seek alternative sources of income and livelihood. Prof, 578 days of strike under the Buhari administration.
Well, I think it would be unfair just to blame the number of days of strike on Buhari administration. I think in previous administrations, there's always been strike. But it's true now that with every day passing, the number of strike days increases, and that it seems as if for now, Buhari is now beginning to hold the record. But the fundamental issue, as I said before, is that, we've analyzed this so many times before. The funding model for universities in this country cannot work. It's only in Nigeria that we have a population of over 200 million, and we have millions of students in university, possibly about 18 million or thereabout. I might be wrong. I don't think it's up to that, but millions of students. And yet we expect the federal government to pay the vast majority of the cost of educating them. We simply cannot afford it. But having said that, the government itself went into an agreement with ASU. So I think in the long term, what ASU needs to be able to do is find a way for the government to find a way to respect part of the agreement, but more fundamentally, to look at funding of universities. How can we get sustainable funding for our universities? Possibly through fees, and then we subsidize those who are indigent, and possibly getting the alumni and, getting investment through patent, through innovation into our universities. Because I tell you, even if the strike is resolved today, another government will come in and the same issues will arise, because it's an issue of revenue generation, of expenditure, which the federal government in its present condition simply cannot do. Britain, America, Germany, France, as rich as they are, they don't fund university education up to this level at all. So we need to find a model that works. In the meantime, the government needs to get to agreement with ASU so that our children can go back to their universities. Maybe short-term agreement again, but an agreement which will ensure that you open up the whole issue of university funding. But I think it is wrong that the government keeps on reneging on agreements that they've reached in the past.
So you're saying basically that government is over-subsidizing education, and this is one of the foundations of the problem we have right now.
Yes, it is. And unfortunately, when ASU was negotiating with the government years ago, I think that's what ASU should have looked at. You see, for the future of Nigerian university education, how do we have a sustainable funding model? A model that relies on the amount of money we get from petrodollars is not sustainable. So, yes, the funding model simply doesn't work. In Nigeria, it's only in Nigeria that everybody expects that once you go to secondary school, that you must be a graduate of some sort. Not everybody should be a graduate, you understand, from that point of view. I know that everybody wants his children to be graduate, but some people are better suited to do other things. But it's only when the economy is properly run that can take effect. So what we have in Nigeria is that everybody, wants to be a graduate, and most people go to federal institutions because that's where it's affordable. Private institutions are not necessarily always affordable. Some are, but many are not. And if you look at private institutions, the courses that people do are not driven by what they can do. They're driven by what they can afford.
And we're a bit too relaxed about the primary and the secondary level of education in the state or in the country, and that's maybe one of the reasons why we have this size of out-of-school children in Nigeria roaming our streets.
Yes, there are two aspects to that. Number one, first and foremost, I think we are not putting enough investment even at primary and secondary. And even at secondary, we rely too much on state and federal governments, to do the business. Yes, we have private institutions, running all these secondary schools and primary schools. But if you look at the quality is not necessarily what it should be, because many of the teachers are being paid pittance. So we're not getting quality teachers to be able to teach many of the students. And what you then get is many of these people are not enthused. There's no innovation. They are distracted. And of course, they begin to roam the streets. But in some other states, the schools are not even enough. When you have the schools miles and miles apart from where the children are, they are likely to go there. They are going to look for some economic activity to meet the requirement of their parents. So the whole secondary and primary education needs to be looked at. In fact, do you know that federal government owns colleges? And people ask the questions, should federal government be involved in funding federal government colleges? Some have argued that alumni, should take over many of those schools so that the federal government can be released as a regulator and ensuring quality for our education. And
if we think that this is an impossible task on the federal government, well, in an African country just close by, Rwanda, you find private schools shutting down and public schools are becoming attractive to the people.
Well, but you also have to understand, excuse me, that in Rwanda, much smaller economy, much smaller population. So my own view is that let's have a mix. You understand? Let's have private schools that work, subsidized by federal government. When I mean subsidized, in those private schools, there will be people who cannot afford the fees, but federal government can intervene and say, okay, you can't afford the fee, we will subsidize it. And that in few instances, you have a few local government or state schools, from that point of view. But let's have private institutions running many of these schools. The state government has a role to play, of course. Federal government has a role of regulation to play, from that point of view. But the federal government can intervene, state governments can intervene in many of these private schools by providing scholarships and providing subsidies. So they don't necessarily have to run everything.
Is it about the population now or having a working formula and an effective structure?
Well, the population also should be taken into account because the population of Nigeria is that we have uncontrolled population growth. And if you have uncontrolled population growth, you have to find a way to control it. But also, we also have to have a working formula at the same time. If you cannot control the population, you cannot have a working formula because your population overwhelms whatever formula you come up with. And so the formula that we've been using are formulas of the 60s and the 70s, the Obasanjo era, not this current era, military era. We've not changed the model at all. And the population continues to rise unabated. It's only in Nigeria, you understand. We're not only in Nigeria, but in Nigeria we have uncontrolled population. And that's why you're going to continue to have many out-of-school children because the population is uncontrolled. People can't cope with it. For you and I that are educated, of course, our population is controlled. But if you go to vast majority of the towns and villages in Nigeria, it's uncontrolled population. And of course, who's going to fund their education? The federal government hasn't got enough, the state government has got enough, and these parents haven't got enough to send their children to private schools.
All right, Prof. I just spotted this report out of the Daily Post, and I have to ask, can government prescribe ASU? Because according to this report, they're saying the federal government may be considering prescribing the union if it fails to call off the prolonged strike after an offer was made to it.
Well, this is not military era where we rule by decree. Everything has to be done in accordance with the rule of law. In accordance with the rule of law, they cannot prescribe ASU, you understand, except they actually take ASU through the courts, and ask the courts to consider it. There will be a procedure that has to be followed before that can happen. But for them to just make a decree or to make a pronouncement that ASU is prescribed, they can't. In fact, the Constitution will debar them because the Constitution guarantees in Section 36, 37, 38, and so on and so forth, freedom of association. And so it will be struck down by the courts. So there needs to be a process. If they can prove that ASU has been involved in things like terrorism and such like, and then maybe that's a basis for them to approach the courts. But other than that, they cannot prescribe ASU. So everybody's thinking about that thinks that we're still in the military era. I think they just have to find ways to meet ASU somewhere. ASU has to find ways to meet the federal government somewhere so we can get a midpoint and so that our children can return back to school. But I think if you look at what's going on, NASU, which is the non-academic staff, and the other part of it, have already called up their strike for 2 months. So I think there's hope that ASU will reach some agreement very soon.
All right, Prof, I also just chanced on this particular one here from Augusto. Nigeria adds 5 million people to our population every year. Is there a way we can, look at, this rise in our population? Is there a way we can check it?
Well, I hope we can check it, but a rise in population has to do with illiteracy. Birth control is only the things that most educated people get involved in. A lot of the uneducated people will not do birth control. They just, if it happens, it happens. So part of it has to be education, dealing with illiteracy, and that needs investment and that needs finances. So the federal government and the state governments has to prioritize it, through clinics, through the health centers, and so on and so forth. Because our uncontrolled population is causing a problem. It should be a plus, but it's a plus when that population is educated, equipped, and skilled. A lot of our population is uneducated, it's unskilled, so it's not adding any value to the economy. They are consumers rather than producers.
Now, the National Broadcasting Commission, NBC, has extended revocation of operational licenses of 52 broadcasting stations, owing 2.6 billion naira license renewal fee to Wednesday.
Yes, there are some of us who thought that when this came out that the federal government was engaging through the NBC in censorship. But it's quite clear that these houses owe the federal government money. So the question is, should the sanction be revocation of licenses, or should there be some kind of negotiation or some way in which they be given more breathing space? I don't know what has gone on in the negotiations. Maybe they've been giving them breathing space for years, but something needs to be done. I don't think it's healthy for our democracy for you to revoke the licenses of many of these independent news houses, because at least they give us an oxygen of neutrality and oxygen of calling the government to account. So I hope it's resolved in some sort of way. But it's quite clear that if the federal government is owed money, they need their money, and they need this money to be able to run their operations.
But I think it also behoves us as media professionals to also show responsibility. When we call out government on some things, we shouldn't be found wanting.
Yes, we shouldn't be found wanting. So it's unfortunate that if we have obligations, we are not meeting them. And when we have obligations, it's not one rule for the gander and one rule for the geese. Whatever rule applies to people out there should also apply to them. So as they call government to account, they should also call themselves to account. And I don't know what role the NUJ is. In fact, I have not heard of it from the NUJ. We used to hear from the NUJ in those days. I don't know what role they are playing in this saga. I think the NUJ should put its mouth where its money is.
All right, we have to go on the break, and when we come back, we'll be taking your reactions. Just stay with us.
The race is on, and this time it's 2 times more drama, and it goes all the way up to a whopping 100 million naira. Can you keep up?
Don't miss the gossip, drama, and a whole lot more. Remember, the higher your package, the higher your votes to save your faves. Stay connected to Big Brother Naija Level Up on DSTV Channel 198, Channel 199, and Africa Magic. Dial *288# or download my DSTV app. Headline sponsor, Pocket by Piggy Vest. Associate sponsor, Flutterwave. Big Brother Naija is rated 18.
Power oil, power oil. Bonga cooking oil, we get different sizes and different packs. Oh, power oil, power oil. The one way they sweet me na mini pack, 400 naira. Yeah. Power oil, they everywhere. Power oil, good for your heart. Power oil, no cholesterol. Power oil, no trans fat. Power oil, and people who listen to your heart use power oil. Power oil, power oil.
Our friend Oliver is what you call a man with a huge appetite. Gigantic, actually. And if there's one phrase we have come to know Oliver for, it is this.
More data, please.
No matter what we offer him.
More data, please.
So, guess what we did? We heard Glow created new data plans for people like Oliver, and we got him exactly that. And guess what Oliver said?
Excuse me, please, is this all for me? Only me?
Now, Oliver certainly has more than enough data. All thanks to the Glow Mega Data Plans.
With the longer validity you get on Glow Mega Data Plans, you can work from home with ease, run your business better, download non-stop, stream music and movies endlessly, learn online, and share data with anyone. No worries. Get 225 gigabytes at 30,000 naira for 30 days, 425 gigabytes at 50,000 naira for 90 days, and 1 terabyte at 100,000 naira for a year. Dial *777# now to start enjoying these mega plans.
Glow Unlimited.
Mom will come and put on the radio set. Don't worry, I'll tell Mommy.
Let me put on my radio set now.
Mommy, please, we want to listen to the Smart Kids show. It comes up Monday to Friday, 7:15 to 7:45 a.m. so we can prepare our minds for school work.
Okay, Smart Kids show. I love it too.
Thank you, Mommy.
Oh yes, 7:15 a.m. to 7:45 a.m. is the time. Mondays through Fridays. Join Auntie Yellow on the Smart Kids show.
My customer, I beg give me golden penny 400 grams midi pack. Now spaghetti my children want chop this night.
Madam Sabinus, which one be 400 gram midi pack?
Introducing Golden Penny Pasta new 400 gram midi pack with same quality. Golden Penny Pasta. Enjoy it your way.
You're listening to 32 FM 94.9.
All right, great to have you back. 32 FM 94.9, 070550949, 08097949. Let's have you join the conversation this morning.
Yeah, morning, Kenny.
Good morning.
And good morning, Tayo.
Good morning.
Prof, good morning. Prof, on what we said about Rwanda education, I actually think it has to do with the will. Rwanda, and of course, Tayo, looking at India now as a case study of technical education. More or less, population-wise, is almost in comparison, much as they are larger, but the increase in their population is also like that of Nigeria. Nigeria lacks the will to make it work. I actually think in terms of leadership, Rwanda did that, and I think that's actually why it's working. And two, on primary and secondary, which would have been the main thing that would have actually been a great booster, most of the people that are actually involved in it are the ones that are not making the unit to work. So until we tend to work as a nation, using that Rwanda as an example, I don't think we are going anywhere. Good morning. Okay.
Thank you, for your call there. Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much for coming aboard this morning. And what I want to say, my name is Collins from Ibadan.
Go on, Collins.
What I want to say is that if government doesn't have money to fund public universities, why are they creating more ones? That money to maintain the structure in ground, they are creating more structures. It's funny now. That's why people at this lecture don't want to believe them. So if you don't have money, you should maintain the one you have already and make it equally, make it to be where it's supposed to be before you can move to the next stage. And also, if government could make promise in 2019 now, and they cannot fulfill the promise, we should not blame us. Because if you make promise for the world, there is no hope. If you fight back, you will not blame the person now. So government equally is to be blamed. Now they said I hold you at 6 months salary. On one note, because of leadership failure, that was why they went on strike.
All right, thank you.
And these people are researchers, they're intellectuals. They are brilliant on intelligence.
Thank you. Your point is made. Tayo and Rotolu, good morning to you. Happy, prosperous new week. The happenings in the country is exposing the mindset of our rulers and emperors. We should be ready to vote in credible leaders come next year if election will hold. That will definitely hold by God's grace. No problem. Instead of federal government to address the ASO problem, they waited for it to linger. Now it is no work, no pay. Equally on no pay, no work, we stand. That's from Okejran Babatunde. Thank you. So, hello, good morning.
Hello, sir.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry. This is Shegun from you. It is unfortunate that actually having sympathy with people. They cannot have sympathy with me. One, in federal university, we are paying less than 40,000. My daughter pays less than 40,000. Two, I can afford 120,000 as accommodation outside the campus. When she was doing her project, she paid almost 200,000 for the lecturer. We, the parents, we should tell the government to at least some percentage increment in school funding. Federal and state government cannot fund it. If actually is serious, why not taking federal government back to primary school, secondary school, so that they will improve it along the line?
Zero 949 08097,949. Let's have your calls. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. What's your name?
My name is Sajifala. I'm calling from Ibadan. Hello.
All right, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yes, none of us is talking about the beginning of our problem in this country. Not even all these newspapers. The analyst has talked about education in Nigeria. It shouldn't be all the students that go to secondary school that should be having the mind of going to the university. But all of them are doing so because of the state of our examination in Nigeria. Throughout Nigeria, common entrance are done, and there is sitting throughout Nigeria. Becker, GSS3, WAEC are not doing exam, NECO are not doing exam. That is the reason somebody can come out and come and say that somebody that scored 140 in JAM is qualified to go to the university. I can tell you this morning that somebody that scored 140 in JAM cannot write WAEC, cannot write NECO, and get 1 credit out of 9 credits.
All right, thank you.
I can start by it anyway.
Thank you.
1 credit, not even 2. 1 out of 9. This has been the genesis of our problem in this country. This has been the genesis of all these ASU and every other problem that we have in this country. Nobody is talking about it.
We shouldn't be coming up with policies that will arrest the development of, of the country. Right. Education-wise, if you look at it that way. Prof is currently in the UK. In the UK, you can get jailed if you have children who are supposed to be in school and you keep them at home. You can get jailed. You can be jailed for that. But here, who cares? And so we also just have them, from time to time, and nothing is. I have no plans for this once, Prof.
Yes. Obviously, sanctions. If you, as a parent, your child doesn't resume on time, or your children are wandering around, of course you're going to be sanctioned and ultimately could lead to imprisonment, ultimately in the extreme. But there are no penalties in Nigeria, from that point of view. But one of the things I want to add is if, plumbing jobs, driving jobs, driving jobs, plumbing jobs, or electrical engineers, they earn quite a lot, earn more than graduates. I think if our economy is restructured so that all those professional jobs, those jobs that we consider to be menial, begin to earn more, then people will now consider that university is not a must.
You know what
I
we
will
call
go to
those,
training school.
We call those jobs? We say they are non-core.
Yes.
That's what we say. They are non-core. And they are the ones making them more abroad. And when we talk about dignity in labor also, and that's why you look down on people who are not knowing that actually we all have our quota to contribute, to the growth of the country.
Tayo.
Yes.
This is okay. I want us to also take note that NASU and SANU, they said they called off for 2 months. So it's actually likely that means if they don't respond, they will go back. So we really need to be careful. That's actually why we're saying, is it not better to just stay off and make sure this thing is sorted out until we call off? What if they don't respond and they go back again? So the purpose of the strike then is defeated. And like I said earlier, Tayo, technical education, that's, I think, the best of them. And that's what would have moved our economy much better. It will not make people lose interest in the university and pay more attention on the tech. We have thrown the technical schools away. We are not interested. You and I will not want our children to go there, but that is actually what might drive this economy. Good morning.
Thank you. Okay. Do you know where we get our tilers for? If you're having a construction now, building a house, you get to tilers from, neighboring countries of, Benin Republic and all that.
Really?
Able-bodied young men that used to function in this, the artisans that used to really function here,
Yes.
have all gone to riding Okadas, in a bid to make ends meet and see. And that is why technologically, Nigeria is still in the 18th century.
They are.
Terrorists repenting again. The trend in Nigeria is to send him abroad for total reformation. What happens to those in IDP camps, those security officers, turned widows, the fatherless? Can our emperors be trusted? Campaign is next month. Are they not planning to use repentant Boko Haram terrorists against perceived opponents? These deceits is enough. This is from Prof. Kediro. Hello, good morning.
Good morning. This is Mr. Matai and Abamre from Bodija. I think the way the government has taken things over from the discourse is a very nice thing because electricity is too costly. But I think later the government should think of privatizing it because utilities are best privatized. That's why they work best. But the way electricity is now, if you even hire a piece of clothing or anything, before you know it, your electricity has finished down. Even they don't bring light for long, and you have to pay so much. So they should think of bringing the cost down. That will even help the economy to improve and to make things work better.
Thank you.
Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Your name?
This is Olufemi from Oyo. I want to friendly amend what the prof said, that education is not over subsidized in Nigeria. Education is not over subsidized at all because it's the lack of good leadership. What of the money all these animals are swallowing? All the money used to cut grasses, the money used to train people for phone repair. It's only because these people are, and they don't want the children of the poor to be working the same level with their own children. They want their own children to continue lording over the children of the masses. The people that had free education, that had teaching, that had all keys free of charge, they now cross over the bridge and they destroy the bridge. God is coming to judge on them.
Olufemi from Oyo, your point is made. Untrained children will not allow the trained ones to rest. It is better the resources are shared evenly. This is from Okedoro. Thank you. Good morning, everyone in the studio. Honestly, the proposed prescription of ASU by federal government is not the solution, but will worsen the situation at hand. Government should look elsewhere to solve this issue rather than bring in the issue of prescription of the union. God bless Nigeria. Raji Afiz Abidemi will take. Can we take this call here?
Hello, Tayo.
Yes. Okay, Femi,
the problem
30 seconds.
In Nigeria is we want everything to be the government to do everything for us. I'm a poor man, but we like the politicians to be lying to us.
See, Femi, we have to go.
We have to go. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you, Prof.
Thank
we
you.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and that's where we called it a wrap on the Break of Dawn pay-per-view. My name is Kenny Dorotilu.
I am OLUTAYO Ogunade. Have a great Monday.
The views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the guest analyst and do not necessarily reflect the recommendations or perspectives of 32 FM 94.9 Ibadan.
32 FM 94.9, filling the world with laughter. Here is
the station admired by other radio stations.
Yes, we are.
32 FM 94.9.